Hi everyone. Hi. I'm Shirley Vincent. I'm the external evaluator for the 4 projects that Alan just mentioned, the education and broadening participation projects. I work for the National Council for Science and the Environment, where I'm the director of the Center for Environmental Education Research. And if I have time at the end of my talk, I have a couple of slides about both NCSE and the center. If I have time, I'll tell you a little bit more about them. So Alan already introduced you to 4 different projects, and Alan and Mike and Alicia thought it would be a good idea for me to, I'm not talking about the results, the preliminary results we already have, because Mike already covered those and Alan covered those, and we have a lot more analysis to do because we just now have all of our data in, or with the mentor surveys, we're still waiting to get our data in, so please do that as quickly as possible. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the process that we're using in terms of evaluation, the evaluation plans that we have in place that we just finalized, and we'll have those up on eRIMS here shortly by the end of the month, so you can take a look at those. And how our evaluation process is intersecting with some education research projects. So I draw on 2 different schools of thought in evaluation work. Includes outcome mapping and also developmental evaluation. And so outcome mapping is focused on building capacity within different individuals and groups, and so it's focused on change and change oriented towards social transformation. It's a very appropriate process for the kind of training that we're doing with the UWIN project. And so outcome mapping involves 3 basic elements. One is you identify optimal outcome would be of the individuals or the groups participating in the program. If the program was extremely successful, what would be the optimal outcome? Then the measures of progress or goals towards that outcome, and then the strategies that we use to help support the individuals and groups towards achieving those measures of progress, and then ultimately the desired outcome we're looking for. It's very iterative and adaptive, and so as both Mike and Alan talked about, we're changing as we go along, and we've been developing our evaluation plans as we go along. So it's very cyclical. Developmental evaluation is where the evaluator is not external from, even though I'm an external evaluator, I'm deeply embedded in the process of developing the programs. So this is called developmental evaluation, and that's where I'm involved in the decisions that we make on how we're going to structure the program, and always thinking about how evaluation is going to fit in with what we're doing. And all the team members, and I work with all the team members to evaluate our findings and analyze those and figure out how we're going to make change as we go forward based on the results. This is just an illustration then of the kind of the 3 phases. So there's the intentional design phase, where we describe our vision, our mission, our optimal outcome, our goals in terms of progress markers and the measures that we're going to use to measure that progress, the strategies that we plan to use, and then the data gathering, evidence, and analysis, to the timing and how we're going to respond to that, and then it just starts over again. So it's an annual cycle at the very least, but in some aspects it's even more, it can be monthly or even more often. So the optimal outcome is based on capacity. So it includes both competencies, actions that we want the participants to be engaged in, and ultimate impacts that we hope to see from participation in the program. So this is an example, and I don't expect you to read all this, but you can see that there are these elements, and this is the outcome statement that we have for the undergraduate research program students. And so you can see that there are competencies built in there, there are actions built in, there are ultimate impacts built into our outcome statement. For the undergraduate research program, the students, we have 15 progress markers that we've developed for students, and you can see that those involve things like diversity and understanding of urban water sustainability research and transdisciplinary team research and sustainability problem solving. We have 2 relationships progress markers. We have 5 related to their independent research projects. We have career opportunities and pathways, wanting them to have a better understanding of those as a result of their participation, meaningful contribution to their team's research, and then of course we look at their final papers and their symposium presentations. We also have a set of markers and an outcome statement, challenge statement for mentors as well. And we have 10 of those. So again, we look at diversity, relationships with the students, providing feedback and guidance to us and to the students, progress on the students. This is in our sort of a mid-program surveys. We want to make sure everyone's on track. Mentoring skills, again, providing those opportunities for students to understand career options and policy implications and stakeholder involvement aspects of the work that they're doing. Again, if they make a meaningful contribution, look at their final paper. We want them to do a final paper and have it published and be approved by their mentors. And then to contribute to our evaluation and education research. So the data we have a lot of data that we collected for the undergraduate research program, and we're still collecting that data. It's basically in 3 groups: demographic or potential explanatory values, which are things like how much exposure the students had to research before they came into the program. Impact variables, which is the impacts that the program has had on the students and their abilities. And then evaluation variables, how the program is working in terms of those strategies. We also look at the students' papers and their presentations, of course, and then we are analyzing some specific things that are related to some education research aspects of the work that we're doing in evaluation, and that's looking at specifically problem solving for sustainability, knowledge integration, and transdisciplinary research orientation. We had a lot of discussion about how to measure these broad things, sustainability, transdisciplinary research, and those kind of things. And so I think we've come up with some good ways to take a look at those issues. So for the team science training, we came up with 9 sets of progress markers, and diversity is also included. You saw the 4 learning outcomes. We ask about evaluation of how the workshop is working. And now we're going to ask about some continued use, how the participants who receive the training are going to use the training, if they share it with their other groups within their universities, and how they feel about has it developed new capacities for them to be able to manage complex research projects in teams. So the data we have for that is very similar. We have demographic data, we have the learning outcomes, we have program evaluation feedback, and we're going to implement some follow-up surveys to get more information about which tools they're using in what context, the effectiveness, the barriers, the challenges, the topics they're interested in for future training, reflection on the value of what they've learned, and whether they're sharing within their institutions and networks, and if so, how. So now I want to talk just a little bit about the intersections with our evaluation work and some education research, and I want to introduce you to a project that I'm also part of called the Embers Project. It's an NSF-funded project called Employing Model-Based Reasoning and Socio-Environmental Synthesis. And basically the purpose of this project is to test our model that we've developed over the last 2 years, which is an NSF funded project. And so now we're testing that project. We're training people to use it, and we're gathering data on how well it's working. But the idea is to facilitate the integration of diverse knowledge and perspectives in diverse research teams. And the model includes tools and methods for developing integrated conceptual models and for working effectively in diverse teams. So we included an Embers approach in the case study that was part of the undergraduate research program kickoff meeting. So an Embers approach was part of that case study that they worked on. We've seen in the team science adaptive management training there's been some interest in this topic, and so we may add a component of the Embers to the team science training. And then we had 2 students here. I know Yoga's here. Hey, Yoga. Is Aaron here? We had 2 students from the UWIN project attend our doctoral training workshop that we just wound up a week ago on the Embers model that we had a 2-week workshop where we taught graduate students to use the model. And we have some faculty interest as well. Matt, wherever you are, Matt. Yeah, there he is. Matt learned about this at our National Council of Science and Environment annual conference, national conference last year, and he expressed some interest. So I hope there'll be some interest from UWIN researchers. We could do a dedicated workshop for UWIN researchers. Perhaps it'll be included in the team science training. We will have a workshop for faculty at the National Council for Science and the Environment annual meeting in January. So there are opportunities for you to participate as faculty and for your students to participate as well. I did want to mention that our Embers project does include some work on team dynamics, which is really interesting. Dave Goslin is one of our co-PIs, and he's been working with a company called TI International. They look at various components of individuals' personalities, I guess is the best way to put it. Looks at their motivators, their behavioral, their competencies, and so he's been using this work both in student assessment, program assessment, and we've also been using it. We use it on ourselves. The figures you see up here are our Embers team, and you can see we all pretty much share the same motivators, which is good, but we have different behavioral styles. So we've learned about each other and how we can work more effectively in teams. And so it's very useful for us. It's been very useful for us. We modeled it on ourselves, and we teach that as part of our Embers project. So a couple of other things that we've included, frameworks that we've included for trying to get to these ideas in the undergraduate research program of teaching sustainability, problem solving, and transdisciplinary research, is we're using this framework developed by Week et al. That has a framework for competencies for sustainability problem solving. And so we utilize that in our case study as well with the students, and we're going to analyze those for their knowledge of the competencies, and then we ask them a question again in their follow-up survey that we will analyze to see how that knowledge has changed. Oops. Oops, how to get there. There we go. Got it. Thanks. So if you're not familiar with the weak competencies model, this is just a quick overview. It's 5 different competencies which together form a problem-solving competence. They are systems thinking, futures thinking, values or normative thinking, strategic thinking, and interpersonal competence. And then we're also including this scale as something we're looking at with the undergraduate research program. It's called the Transdisciplinary Research Orientation Scale, and I'll talk a little bit more about it here. It's developed by Mishra and Stoeckels, and they work primarily with the NIH, but they've done an awful lot of work on evaluating transdisciplinary research and how to facilitate transdisciplinary research. And this is one of their latest products that they've developed. It's a set of questions that they've validated, that they use to create a scale that measures a scientist and scholar's personal disposition towards transdisciplinary research. It has a 2-factor structure, you can see there. And a higher TDO, or transdisciplinary orientation, they have linked to more papers judged to be more interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary peer-reviewed science papers. And those papers have greater translational policy and practical relevance. So higher TDO, they suggest, is linked to being able to do more effective transdisciplinary work that is then has more impact in the world. So we ask the students to complete this questionnaire before coming in the program, slightly reworded for students, of course, since it's not for scholars and scientists. And then we're going to ask them again after they've completed the program and see if there's any change. So in summary then, again, we're using outcome mapping and a developmental evaluation process, and so Mastek, I'll be working with you on the MOOC here coming up shortly. And then we have evaluation plans in place for the 2 projects that we're working on. We've been developing them over the last year, but they are finalized now, at least finalized until we make changes to them in response to what we learned. And we'll have those up soon, and we'll have some data analysis is ongoing. We'll have some more analysis soon as well. And then we are integrating evaluation with some various aspects of education research, including these intersections with the Embers Project. And let me check my time if I'm good. So I can tell you a little bit about NCSC, my organization. I know many of you, your institutions, your universities are members of NCSC. CSU is. I know many of you are. But if you're not familiar, you should be thinking about joining. NCSC has been around for 21 plus years. It actually began as an effort to create a National Institutes of Environment, and they were successful in getting NSF to take that on as a portfolio of work and establish the Advisory Committee for Environmental Research and Education. But they decided to stick around after that, and so their mission is to promote the use of science in environmental decision making, and we primarily do that by serving as a facilitator of collaborations of various types. So one of the main programs that we do is our National Conference and Global Forum. It's in January. I know several of you attended our conference last year, which was on the Food, Energy, Water Nexus, and if you're interested in that, there is some of the papers that came out of that conference. There's a special issue of the Journal of Environmental Science and Education, the March issue, has 25 papers from that conference. The conference that's coming up this year is going to be, the theme is on integrating environment and health. These are really great conferences. Well, I'm biased, of course, but I think they're really great conferences. And for those of you who have attended maybe NASDAQ, you can say, yeah, they're great conferences too. So, yeah. Yeah, and so we'll have our Embers workshop for faculty there, and we do serve as the secretariat for several leadership groups, the Council of Environmental Deans and Directors, the Council of Energy Research and Education Leaders, the Community College Alliance for Sustainability Education, and the Association for Environmental Science and Studies, which is a professional faculty association, and then they have their flagship journal, the Journal of Environmental Studies and Sciences. I edited another journal, special issue of this journal on interdisciplinary program leadership. It's the June issue. So we have both the March issue is the conference issue, and then the June issue is interdisciplinary environmental program leadership issue. And then this is the program that I direct at NCSE, the Center for Environmental Education Research. We do research on called Interdisciplinary Environmental Sustainability and Energy Research and Education Programs. It's national level research. We produce a series of reports, and those reports are benefits for NCSE university members. I brought a couple of them just if you want to take a look at them to get a feel for what they look like. I brought the one on leadership and administrative structures, the one on research institutes and centers, and the one on curriculum design. The next one that's coming out is on core competencies and learning outcomes. It'll be coming out shortly. And so I'll be happy to answer any additional questions you have on that. But now I just want to give you a chance to ask me any questions you might have. Okay, Nancy.
Can we generate one, or can we work with your organization to generate one of the reports that you work?
Yeah, let me talk to my executive director about that. I don't see why not. Sure.
If we get folks to contribute to research notes, written for the general public and interdisciplinary research and education, I think.
Yeah, we should do it.
That would work. Would that be a nice thing?
Yeah, it would be great. Absolutely. I know our constituencies would be very interested in UWIN's work. We could also think about a special issue of the Journal of Environmental Studies and Sciences.
Yeah.
So.
I'm thinking maybe even in collaboration with other areas such as DSRMs.
You saw the one paper, yeah. the PI on one of the other SRNs.
So then let's consider that if that's something that you think
sure.
is feasible or viable.
Absolutely. We do partner research reports already. We've done a couple. I have, and I could actually probably mention this. I don't know how many of you would be interested in the kind of data I collect, but we gather extensive data on interdisciplinary environmental sustainability and energy programs. And so I have a bunch of data, and I will share that with others via MOUs. It's our proprietary data. We use it for my consulting work that I do on program evaluation, but I do share it with researchers for their own use in partnerships. And so we do have some partner research reports that have resulted from that, and I'd be happy to talk to anyone who has any interest in learning more about what kind of data we have and whether it would be something you would be interested in. But yeah, I think we could absolutely do that, NASDAQ.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay, thank you.